Hello and welcome to the Met Office Weather Studio Live. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. It is 12:15 on Friday. We are here at the Met Office HQ in Exeter. I'm Aidan McGibbon.
And I'm Annie Shuttleworth. Thank you so much for joining us.
So much to talk about this week.
Oh yes, it's been a busy one. A very wet week, hasn't it?
Certainly has been down here. Yeah. Everything's saturated, absolutely sodden in the south and southwest, with more rain to come.
Yep, I've been drenched on a couple of cycles to work this week.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think I've already worn all my cycling gear this week. It's all in the wash.
Ready to go again next week.
Yes, ready for more next week, yeah. But we'll be looking at that rain and all the other weather that's taking place in the next few days in this week's live. But the opportunity is here for you to ask us questions as well. We welcome your feedback, welcome your questions, and we're going to be answering as many of those questions as possible. That's the point of doing these live. And yeah, we've had a few questions in already today, and I looked back at some questions that we had following my 10-day trend and other content this week. So let's get stuck in. And one of the questions that we had following my 10-day trend, if I can just find it again. Here we go.
Questions on the 10-day trend this week?
There were a few.
One,
there were a few. Yeah, it was. There was a lot to talk about, a lot of information, a lot of probability mentioned, which some people love, some people don't enjoy hearing about probabilities, but unfortunately it's an inevitable part of forecasting that far ahead, which brings me on to the first question from OC Dean 24. It's not less a question, more like a comment really. It's times like these I sometimes wish we had Michael Fish back, holding his cutouts of clouds, rain and sunshine and sticking them on the board. Much less confusing. Yeah, less confusing, true. I don't remember Michael Fish's 10-day trends. I seem to remember he only did 2-3 days most of the time in his forecast. No shade on Michael Fish, excellent presenter and forecaster. It's just the fact that we didn't have the technology back then to look beyond the next few days. We didn't have the technology either to understand things like likely weather patterns or the probability of certain things happening, because we only had one computer model simulation and we had no idea how likely that simulation would be to reality. And so, yeah, back in the old days,
it was simpler, wasn't it?
It was
Weather
simpler
symbols
time.
Are, of course, simpler. And I know a lot of people love them, but it's really difficult to summarise a whole day with just one weather symbol. And obviously, when you go further ahead, that's just no way is that going to be an accurate forecast for you if you go any further ahead than a day or two. And so that's why we do the things the way we do. Yeah, indeed. And another question from Ash C9437, same sort of theme. What's the point of so many models if you can rarely come to a conclusion? And referring to the fact that we run the computer model lots of times and we then discuss the outcomes in things like the 10-day trend and the deep dive. Of course, we do plenty of shorter forecasts, like they did in the good old days, where we only look at 2 or 3 days ahead, and then we don't really talk too much about ensembles and probabilities, because then we can present a much more definitive picture a lot of the time. It will do this, it will do that. Yeah, there's no need to show the ensembles or the probabilities if you just look at... No, not at all. But when you look further than 4 or 5 days ahead, you inevitably have to start talking about probabilities. The way I see it is, imagine if I gave you a dice, right? Or a die, and I told you that your job is to predict what number it's going to land on. But it's loaded. I'm not going to tell you which way it's loaded, which numbers are more likely to come up. And now you've got two options. Either you can predict without looking at example rolls of the die, and you can just guess which number is most likely to come up, or you could try it out. Say, roll it 50 times, write down the result, and then you might get a good idea of which numbers are cropping up more often than others, and then you're much more informed when it comes to guessing. Could still be wrong, but you've got an idea of the probabilities, right? You've got an idea that maybe 5s and 6s are coming up quite a lot
when you do 50 rolls of the dice.
Yeah.
So you can say, okay, I think it's most likely to be 6.
Yes.
You're better informed. So it's about informing people. It's about having all this information and trying to share it with people, even if it does involve mentioning things like probabilities rather than certainties.
And leaving you thinking, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. So I think sometimes you can be, well, our confidence is higher. We can actually give like 1 or 2 scenarios. Sometimes there's more like 3 or 4 scenarios. But you can always rule things out, can't you? You can always say it's pretty sure it's not going to be like this at all. So you come away learning at least something from it.
Exactly. So, for example, next week we haven't been talking about it being mild or particularly dry. What we've been talking about are 2 scenarios, one being cold and one being wet, and most likely outcome something in between, which we'll talk a bit more about in a moment. And just to give you 2 real-life examples of the usefulness of these computer simulations and ensembles, looking back at 2022, I don't know if you remember, but right at the start of July, on the 1st of July, the GFS model, the American model, started showing ensemble simulations that suggested 40 degrees around the middle of July, 2 weeks ahead, or more than 2 weeks ahead.
That.
Then more and more of these simulations over the coming days started showing them. And in fact, so many of them were suggesting extreme heat around the middle of the month that we issued our earliest ever amber warning for extreme heat 6 days ahead of that heat building. And we did indeed see 40 degrees for the first time. So in that situation, we were able to use ensembles to get this early heads up of something extreme happening. Then, by seeing more and more of the ensemble simulations deliver that outcome, we were able to have more confidence. We were able to start messaging it and putting out warnings. Now, the opposite, well, not the opposite, but something different happened this summer. A few of the ensemble runs were flagging 40 degrees or more in the UK, but not many. And so we didn't have that same level of confidence. So when you run it lots of times, you have this idea of likelihood and confidence and all that stuff and the possibilities with the atmosphere.
Exactly, because you're looking into the future as a prediction of the future. You're not actually looking into the future. So it gives you an idea of how confident you can be, which makes our job, it makes it easier to deliver a strong message if you've got an idea of the confidence.
Precisely.
Lots of questions coming in. We've had a comment from Narrow Band to Narrow Boat. Do Met Office presenters have a wardrobe of clothes to select on site? Your cycling to work wear must be changed before presenting. Do you cycle like that?
No, I don't, because it's 10 miles and it gets very mucky, especially at the moment. In fact, this week I've not only been bringing in changes of my work clothes, but a change of cycling clothes. So I don't have to put my wet gear on again to cycle home. But yeah, we do. We've got a wardrobe and stuff that we pay for. It sounds like we've got a wardrobe, other people pay for it. No, we provide our own clothes.
We provide our own clothes, but we do have a dressing room where all the clothes are hanging up. But none of the boys like to wear any of my clothes, unfortunately. No,
and we, contrary to what you might expect, we do not share shirts either, or get them on a 2-for-1 offer.
Some of them are quite similar, though. I do agree with some of the comments you get.
We inspire each other, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of questions coming in about next week's weather and the different drivers for it. We're going to be talking a bit more about that in a moment.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of feedback about the updated app on lots of our videos this week, other social channels, and we do encourage feedback as much as possible, the good, the bad and the ugly. And the best way to feedback about the updated app is through the app itself, because that's where the app team are monitoring it most closely, and they are responding to the feedback. And
yeah, and I think one of the main questions a lot of people have asked is why have we updated the app? And I think it's important we address that. So the reason the app was updated is because the old app was outdated, and this new app is built on a really modern code that makes it future-proof, which allows us to release new updates to you more frequently and much more quickly, which is something we've been doing based on all the feedback you've been sending through already this week since the update updated app was released. And you can now have much easier access to the weather maps, scroll through much more quickly. The feels like temperature is already on there. If you haven't got that on your app at the moment, you just need to update it. And there are more updates coming in the next week and the coming weeks as well. So keep an eye out on our socials. We'll be releasing all the information on that as well.
Yeah, that update, that latest update came through, I think, at the end of yesterday. I downloaded that this morning, so improvements on the maps. Looking forward to the improvements to come in the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep your feedback coming. Best place to do that is through the app itself. But yeah, keep your feedback on our presented videos coming as well. We like to hear them. Again, the good, the bad and the ugly, whether it's about our shirts or how it was better in the old days, yes, or whatever it is.
Or your questions that we answer in here as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And yeah, we had an exciting start to the week. We, quite a few people actually, were lucky enough to spot the Northern Lights. Alex Deacon went over it a little bit, shared some photos in the deep dive, but we've got a few photos to share that we asked for on our Instagram broadcast channel. So we'll share some of those with you now. So this one was from Tuxello, some beautiful greens and reds in there, really clear skies. It was as far south as Cornwall in the UK, well, just the whole of the UK, in fact. But I've also seen some amazing images in the Alps as well. We've got another image to show as well, I think, from Susie. Yeah, beautiful. You can see the stars in there as well. It was actually Monday evening. A lot of people saw it. We weren't sure. There was a bit of uncertainty as to when it was going to come in. We were going to see it in Tuesday, the early hours of Tuesday morning, but it was Monday evening. It was
spotted as far south as where we are in Devon. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
Yeah, just down the road.
The Alps, that's amazing.
The Alps there. I wish I'd put the photos in. They're really cool, actually, with the snowy mountains and the Northern Lights in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Well, you've got a little explainer, haven't you, about how that...
Yeah, so we enjoy the photos, but I thought I would take this opportunity to just explain a little bit why we see the Northern Lights. So, I've got a video here, which is taken from... Oh, hang on a minute, I've just clicked on the wrong one. There we go. So this is a clip from a YouTube video that Alex Deacon did. So if you want more details on this, then please check out the YouTube video. But here's a little bit of an explainer. So the Northern Lights, if you didn't know, all stems from the sun originally. And so the sun is the closest star to the Earth, and therefore the biggest star. And the surface of the sun is actually made up of lots of plasma and particles. It's a really active surface, all bubbling away, and sometimes some of that plasma can fire out, can be ejected out of the sun in what is known as a coronal mass ejection. And often those are directed in all sorts of different directions, not towards the Earth, but when they are directed towards the Earth, that is when we get the opportunity to see the Northern Lights. There's a lot of other impacts from this, and it engages with what's called our magnetosphere, which does a really good job at protecting the Earth from lots of harmful signals that can disrupt GPS signals, the power grid, etc., for example. But when we see that plasma ejected from the sun, it fires out what is known as, fires out really active solar particles. You can see here's the surface of the sun. You can see that plasma ejecting out those active solar particles, and they engage with air particles in the upper atmosphere of the sun. And those air particles get really excited. They're usually not that excited, and the solar particles get them so excited they then have to calm down, and they do that by releasing light, and that is when we get to see the Northern Lights, or the aurora borealis. So as you can imagine, all these solar particles engaging with those air particles, and depending on what the air particle is, that indicates what colour we will see. So, from memory, the oxygen particles in the lower atmosphere, they emit green light. Oxygen higher up emits red light, and then there's others for blue and red, and blue and green. Well, I can't remember now, but you'll have to watch Alex's video on YouTube for more details on that. But I thought that's a bit of an explainer as to why you might have seen the Northern Lights. But check out that video and any of our other videos as well on our YouTube page as well. Got lots of informative vids.
Yeah, really good. Lots of questions coming in. One from Luke Booth. I'll try and quickly answer. What was statistically the strongest named storm since you started naming them in 2015? Oh. I would say, first of all, it's like comparing apples and oranges in some respects, because strongest storm in one location won't be the strongest storm in another. But I'd say Storm Eowyn is certainly up there. Yes,
Eowyn was in the
January.
north when we... Oh, Eowyn not Arwen. I was thinking of Arwen, sorry.
Yeah.
Which was a really notable winter storm when everyone had power outages for a really long time. So all the snow. Eowyn, yes, a big storm. Babette, is that a big one?
That wasn't in terms of wind strength, but it was certainly highly impactful in terms of rain.
Yes.
That would brought devastating flooding in a not too dissimilar setup to what we've got at the moment, with the rain pushing into eastern Scotland. And I know there's been some flooding in that area, but not quite as bad as Babette, because we've not got as much moisture, and it's not delivering it in such a short time period as well. So similar setup, not quite as bad at the moment as Babette, but that was really bad for likes of Brechin in eastern Scotland. Devastating flooding.
It's not always the wind, is it? It's also the rain that we're looking at, but there's always a wind element in there.
Absolutely. Will we see snow next week for the central belt, such as Ayrshire? And he's going to be taking a look at that in a moment. And you have a space weather section. Any plans for it? And aurora alerts in the app, maybe? Perhaps a postcode or location alert system for possible aurora activity.
Oh.
Really good shout.
Yeah, put it in the feedback.
Feedback in the app, yeah. On the issue of ensembles, which parameters tend to be tweaked to produce the various outcomes? That's from Paul Markman. I'm not an expert on this, but I think it's temperature and wind and pressure.
The pressure is often the thing that's changed initially, isn't it? That we might feel an area of low pressure when we don't think it's going to be quite as steep, or move the position, and then everything else is kind of a knock-on effect of that, really. But we do use those, and in the shorter range period of the graphics you see behind me, we do change the rain to maybe change, so we don't just take the deterministic output, we are taking that all into account.
And a question about this weekend's weather from Claire Mansfield. How much more rain are we going to get this weekend?
Yes, a bit more. It's been a really wet week. This is the satellite imagery from the week so far. At the moment, we've got this area of low pressure down to the southwest of the UK. That's actually Storm Ingrid. It was named by the Portuguese Met Service earlier on this week. But it is bringing some wet weather, some very windy weather to the southwest in particular. Through today and Saturday. You can see it's all the cloud and rain is just really wrapped around it. So I'll just run through the weather through this evening and into Saturday and Sunday. Now, the important thing to know is that there's a couple of warnings in force for the southwest and the northeast, but there's also going to be some drier weather. I think there's been very little dry weather. There could even be some sunshine actually on Saturday. So this area of low pressure is bringing some very heavy showers, risk of hail in these showers into this evening across the southwest and into Saturday. Heavy rain still persisting across the northeast. This has been here for a few days now. We did have an amber warning in force on Thursday. Snow's falling at around 300 metres, and that continues all through Saturday. The heaviest rain is actually moving away. It is slowly easing, but over the high ground and the Grampians, we'll still see some of that rain. So that's Saturday. This is lunchtime. So anywhere up from Northern Ireland across Wales down into southwestern England, Devon and Cornwall particularly seeing some of that heaviest rain and the strong winds. The winds will be strongest overnight tonight, and then they ease across these areas, and then the rain becomes the issue, particularly for Devon, Cornwall, South Wales as well, areas that we've seen some quite heavy rain already this week. And then we continue to see the heavy rain across the northeast, but it's in between. This is where the good news is, if you're after some dry weather, if you want to get outside this weekend. Actually, it looks quite dry and bright for southeast England, much of northern areas as well. The closer you are to this weather front out to the east, you will have a bit more cloud across eastern areas. through Saturday. I also want to show you we've got a bit of an easterly wind as well. It's been a pretty strong southeasterly this week, so it's going to feel a little bit colder over the weekend across northeastern areas. How's that look for Sunday? Well, the area of low pressure, it kind of becomes a bit messy, to be honest. It starts to fill showers and areas of rain pushing up from the south through the day. Still some dry weather around though, and actually the rain turns to more showers across the east. So there will be, although further rain, is going to be a slightly drier picture as well. And into Monday, actually, Monday morning, we've got a bit of a drier slot as we start to get this kind of split picture across the country. Weather fronts coming in from the south and west, and more of an easterly wind coming in from the east, bringing showers with it as well.
Well, yes, that's when it starts to get pretty interesting, doesn't it? Loads of questions about that, the big drivers involved. So the fact that we've got really cold weather in North America. And Stephanie Flynn has said, what is the status for the US weather for driving the jet stream to affect next week's weather? Phil Higginson, is it too early to forecast next weekend's weather in Ramsgate, Kent? Andrew Nixon, Annie and Aidan, I presume the big freeze developing now over eastern and central North America will really fire up the jet stream. And James Brinklow asking about Florida. They've had Florida has had a succession of snow events, James says, but if the winds reverse west to east, would we get more winter snow than America? Would it create an ice age? Oh, loads to get stuck into there. Actually, on that one, there is a video on our Learn About Weather channel, which I worked on with great animations. And that looks at what the world would be like, what our weather and climate would be like if the prevailing winds, if the Earth spun the other way, so the prevailing winds went the opposite direction. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, James, watch that video. Yeah. Lots of things happen, not just cold weather in the UK, but lots of things around the globe change.
Yes, absolutely. So you may have heard that there is colder, snowier weather coming towards the UK, and there has been a signal for that over the past few weeks, but things have changed. And although it is set to turn colder across the UK, the signal for snow is somewhat limited. Now, first of all, let's have a look at the big picture. So there's been a signal for cold easterly winds to move into the UK, and we will still see some of that as we head into next week. We've got cold air building across Eastern Europe. That's thanks to a big area of high pressure. There's not a lot of sunlight here at this time of year. It happens, it's quite typical for this time of year. And there are signals that we will start to see some of that, that cold air move towards the UK. But what's also happening is some very cold weather is developing across eastern areas of the USA. You can see that here, these deep blue colours. It's Arctic air moving in to the USA, and they're expecting a major winter storm across eastern parts of the USA. There's winter storm warnings from Texas eastwards, major snow event as well as heavy rain too throughout this weekend. And what that cold air over the USA does is it fires up our jet stream. And now what that is going to do, let's keep the cold air on, you can see it really amplifies and accentuates our jet stream. That's because the contrast between that really cold air coming down from the Arctic and the warmer tropical air, that's what drives the strength of the jet stream. And the jet stream is, of course, a key driver for the UK weather. And over this weekend, it becomes a bigger feature. And what it will do is develop low pressure systems out in the Atlantic. And it's actually going to be quite a south-shifted jet. So that means the low-pressure systems developing across the Atlantic will push into southern areas of the UK. As you can see throughout this weekend, as we play this forward, you can see a series of low-pressure systems developing around the strong jet core, and they ever so slowly come closer to the UK throughout this weekend. Monday, there's a bit of respite, but then the jet stream really fires up, and it's into Tuesday when we could see a fairly notable area of low pressure across the UK. We'll take a closer look at that because that will bring a increased risk of seeing some snow, yes, but also more heavy rain, as well as a chance of some quite strong winds on Tuesday as well across southwestern areas. So this jet stream continuing to drive Atlantic weather towards us means that we continue to see these westerly winds. That means the colder air from the east never really gets in situ across the UK. We never really tap into that really cold air. And so although there is an increasing risk of snow next week in the UK, it's only really across high levels. We're not expecting any significant low-lying snow into next week, and that's because the air is just not going to be cold enough. But there is a chance, as well as seeing some heavy rain and some strong winds, and it's Tuesday's low pressure system that we need to take a closer look at. So turn the jet stream off. So it's this area of low pressure. Now it's Tuesday, it's still 5 or so days away, and so there's still some uncertainty with the exact shape of this area of low pressure. Some signals though show it could be quite a deep area of low pressure, and it's likely to move up from the south and west, but the position of this area of low pressure could be as far west as towards the Republic of Ireland, or it could be shifted further south into parts of France. So in France they could see some heavy rain as well instead of across the UK. But the most likely scenario at the moment is for a relatively deep area of low pressure to drive up from the south and west, bringing with it spells of wet weather and windy weather up across more central areas of the UK. Now there will be some colder air in situ across more northern areas. Monday is actually looking like quite a cold day, and we will see some snow across the high ground on Monday. But as this area of low pressure bumps into that cold air, that's when we will potentially see some transient snow over the high ground, but we're also going to see some very heavy rain too. Let's take a closer look at the details for Tuesday and Monday first of all. So on Monday we see this weather front push through, and as that bumps into the cold air that we've got on Monday, you can see the whites here showing snow over the high ground, the Peak District, the Pennines, all the way up into the high ground of Scotland, the Lake District too, also seeing some snow. And then it's this next area of low pressure that could potentially be quite deep that then brings a chance of some snow, but also very heavy rain to southern and western areas. But again, you can see that white there showing a risk of snow over parts of the high ground in northern areas. How much snow could we see? Well, for snow to fall, you need the air to be cold enough. So this shows you the freezing level across the UK as we look further ahead. So we'll just jump ahead to next week. So for snow to fall, you need the temperature to be 0 degrees. So this is the height of 0 degrees above sea level. So the height at which rain would fall as snow, or snow would turn to rain. And so you can see here that onto Sunday, it's starting to get colder. Monday, when we see that initial weather front come through, the freezing level is about 400 metres. And so any rain would fall as snow still above around 400 metres. And then when we get that low pressure system, it's also bringing in quite a lot of mild air actually from the south and west, from the Atlantic. So that's going to lift the freezing level itself as well. So although the freezing level is quite low to start with across Scotland, it actually increases as the day goes on across more southern areas. You can see as this area of low pressure comes up, we start to see that freezing level around 1,000 metres actually, where we're close to this area of low pressure, but on the top edge of it, it's closer to 600 metres, 400 metres in some places. So that does mean that snow is only really likely over the high ground. We can see how much snow is expected. This is the snowfall totals throughout next week. So when we see that weather front come through on Monday, a chance of some snow over the highest ground in North Wales, as well as the Peak District, the Pennines, all the way up through Scotland. This is the highest snowfall totals would be across parts of northeastern Scotland, the Grampians, where they've actually had quite a lot of snow this week as a result of the persistent rain. And then on Tuesday, it's very similar areas that would likely see some further snow, as well as the high ground in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland too. So the Lake District also seeing some So it's really about 400 metres. That's what we're expecting at the moment. As I mentioned, snow is a factor that we're thinking about into next week, but it's actually the rain that we will be focusing mostly, because we've had a really wet week this week. We've had some strong winds as well, and we are expecting further heavy rain into next week as well. Let's just get the right data up there. So on Tuesday, by the end of Monday, we'll see some heavy rainfall totals, particularly across southwestern England, but also it's northeastern England, very similar areas to where we've seen the heavy rain already this week. So it's places that are already saturated. They're expected to see further heavy rainfall. And then by the end of Tuesday as well, we want the 24-hour totals. Here we go, that's better. So it's by the end of Tuesday, it's, southwestern areas of Wales, southwestern England, as well as northeastern Scotland and Northern Ireland. Now, these areas are already saturated, as I mentioned, but we're also likely to see some quite strong winds with this area of low pressure as well, particularly across the southwest. And there's been some recent very wet and windy weather. Storm Goretti brought major impacts to Cornwall. We've had further windy weather. We've got Storm Ingrid at the moment, also bringing strong winds down to the southwest. Further trees are coming down just today, bringing disruption. And so we don't need the gusts to actually be that high for further impacts across southwestern areas. And as the ground becomes more saturated, that actually allows trees to come down more easily as well because of the looser soil. So these are all impacts that we're looking at. And so next week, yes, it is turning colder. Yes, we will see an increased likelihood of snow. It's not going to be to low levels, and we do need to keep a watch on the rainfall totals because it's looking like it's going to be another pretty wet and windy week.
Excellent stuff. That almost answers the question that I saw from... I literally just had it a second ago. It was about Manchester, any snow from Manchester, and looking at that, it looks more likely it's a bit low down for Manchester.
Yeah, I think
you wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. Manchester is to... I've got the... There we go. There we are. Yeah, it's too low, really. I think it's the high ground. And with all of this, it's going to be pretty cloudy, quite windy. If it's not snowing, it'll probably be raining. And although in the day it's going to feel quite cold, let's have a look at the temperatures for the days as well. So let's do it compared to average. So these are the daytime temperatures through next week. So it's still sort of around average for the time of year through this weekend. Gets a bit colder into Sunday. And then daytime temperatures come below average into next week. We're sort of at least 3 or 4 degrees below average. It's particularly eastern areas. If you've got an easterly wind, that you'll feel the effects of that. But with lots of cloud and rain, it's just not going to feel hugely pleasant. But the cloud and rain also means that it's not actually going to be very cold at night. So we're not looking at lots of ice and frost with this at the moment. Let's have a look at the minimum temperatures and how they compare to average. So for the same time period, yes, there's a few places it's the high ground that's being highlighted. It's still being quite cold here. But actually, by night, it's not going to be particularly cold and frosty. So if you are hoping for crisp winter scenes, it's not really what we're looking at for next week. This is not going to be it's not going to be comparable to any of the snow events that we've seen so far, such as what we had earlier on in January this year.
Yeah, so that was from Andrew Higham. Susan Smith. Wolverhampton will get any snow next week. Looking unlikely, Susan. Tracy Webster. Any snow for Kent? Looking even more unlikely for Kent. So the further south you are, the lower down you are, the less likely it is, despite what Mikey 2022 is saying about the newspapers banging on about snow once more. Trevor Pritchard. My 13-year-old son has 10 tours with the Army Cadets tomorrow in Dartmoor. I'm a little concerned. We were talking about that earlier because people on our team have got children going to Dartmoor tomorrow. Character building stuff.
I know, it's the sort of thing that you're not going to forget, isn't it? Yeah, tomorrow in
tomorrow
Dartmoor.
Night camping in Dartmoor.
Let's zoom in, shall we? So, yeah, we've still got this area of low pressure, Storm Ingrid, named by the Portuguese Met Service. So, yeah, and it's just going to throw bands of quite nasty showers, actually, through, and some strong winds. Should we put the winds on as well? Yeah, you can see the winds really coming in from the south there. Maybe if you're on the north side of Dartmoor, you might be a bit more protected. But yeah, still quite wet and windy. And we do have a warning for wind and rain across the southwest. And we're likely to see further heavy rain bringing some impacts across the southwest into tomorrow as well. Yeah, lots of questions about sudden stratospheric warming and the longer term, but we'll come back to those because now it's time for a quiz. Ooh. I'm particularly excited about this week's quiz. I can tell. I don't know if it's just... I'm a bit nervous, actually. Well, it might be quite more geeky than normal, maybe. It's name that weather event based on weather charts that we've got. And we're going to show you a weather chart, and you've got to name the weather event. I'll give you a list of 4 options. Okay, yeah. So it's not still multiple choice. Still multiple choice, and you can play along at home as normal. And we'll run a poll in the comments, and I've ordered them in what I think is increasing levels of difficulty. So we're starting easy. Okay. The 5th one might be really hard. We'll see. Yeah, okay, well, let's just give it a go. I think you'll do all right. It sounds fun. Okay, question number 1. And hopefully we've got an image to show you. And it's the same question for all of these. Name this weather event. So the options in this case are A, Storm Goretti, B, Beast from the East, C, the Great Storm, or D, when 40 Celsius was recorded for the first time in the UK. So, those are the options. And you're going to put your answer in the Teams chat that we've got going on. Stephanie Flynn, is Aidan using the quiz that Alex didn't make last week? No, I came up with this all by myself. Can you see it properly? Is this Storm Goretti? No. Beast from the East? Is it Beast from the East? Is it the Great Storm? No. Or is it the 40 degrees day? Now, I've got a big... Jacob. It's easterly. Yeah, is that Beast from the East? Well, that's the question. Okay, that was B, wasn't it? Okay. You've locked that answer in. Claire Mansfield said B as well. Jacob Element said defo 40 degrees. Is it? That's the I mean, I think chicken, something looks like Beats from the East. Defo 40 degrees. It wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have been. It'd be a southerly. It was a southerly, wasn't it, when it was 40 degrees? A big easterly wind. Okay, well, you've gone with Beast from the East. Good. Let's go on to picture number 2. And same question, name this weather event. I know it's really difficult to see. It's an old map and the outlines of the countries aren't that clear. So not much I could do about that, but I'll point them out. Greenland's at the top. Okay. Can you see Greenland with some observations around the coast? Iceland's just below there. And then the UK and Europe are where there's loads of observations. Yeah. So the UK's kind of in the middle, but quite small. And then you've got this area of low pressure that's probably around the Netherlands with strong, tightly packed isobars in the North Sea. So name this weather event. Was it London's Great Smog, 1952? Was it the Fastnet Storm? Was it the 1953 East Coast floods? Or was it the blizzard of 1891? Okay, so it's not A or B. So we've got a big low pressure and a northerly coming in there. So, well, is the Fastnet? Yeah, because the Fastnet, that's towards Ireland, isn't it? Fastnet. What was B, C or D? The options? C was the 1953 East Coast floods, and D was the blizzard of 1891. I mean, that would be quite cold. It looks quite windy, so the blizzard of 1981, I'll go for. Okay. Should I be saying my answers out loud? Is that okay? You can do, yeah. And I can say, now that you've locked that in, that the majority of people at home went for the East Coast floods. That's 50% in the poll. And the blizzard was 31%. Okay. So, yeah, it might be, the audience aren't always right. We'll see.
By the way, the majority went for Beast for the East for the last one, 62%. 18% went for 40 Celsius.
Well, then, okay, so I've got the consensus there. I do feel like maybe I should have gone for the East Coast. It looked old, the charts.
We'll
but both of
they
those
were all
dates
old.
were old.
All those dates were old.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been clever about that.
Okay, picture number 3, please.
I'm starting to think I should need glasses, to be honest. I'm really
name this weather.
Squinting. Sorry for everyone watching me squint like this.
Here we go. Name this weather event. Picture number 3. I'll give you the options. Was it the Fastnet storm? I know it's even less clear, this one. East Coast floods. Big freeze, 1963. Or was it the Burnsday storm? So, if you can't see it clearly, the UK is much bigger in this map than the other one. This is part of the challenge, that you can't really see where the land masses are.
I do. I'm not being enthusiastic, but I am enjoying this. So don't worry.
There's low pressure in the Irish Sea. Okay.
Yeah.
Centred. I don't know. I'm very able to make it out, but perhaps centred just offshore from Dublin, and in between North Wales and Ireland. So that's where the low pressure is.
Yeah.
Quite a deep low, and it's an old map clearly. So
I've gone for the Fastnet storm because I think that's.
Good, that's A.
I think that's something to do with
very good.
That location. I thought these were going to be events that I'd have remembered myself in my forecast.
We're coming to those. We're coming to those. Don't worry. Don't worry. There is one that involves you. Michael Halliday, Big Freeze 63.
Yeah.
Oh, was there a date on the map if you looked closely? I don't know. There might have been, but it wouldn't have helped too much.
You've got an advantage at home because you can scroll in. I'm actually sat a few metres away from this screen, so...
Fastnet storm was the most popular answer, 54%. So you're in good company there.
Thank you, Martin Baines. I think I've got that wrong. Oh, well, I think I've got a few wrong as well, so don't worry.
Here we go. Bit more of a recent map now. We've finished with the old maps, you'll be pleased to hear. They're a bit clearer, these ones coming up. Question number 4. Name this weather event. I'll give you a clue. It was a famous heat wave, and at the time, the UK's maximum temperature was broken. It's the hottest day on record at the time.
Okay.
But was it in 1990, 2003, 2019, or 2022? Which heat wave was this?
Well, 2022 was when... I thought we had 40 degrees in 2022.
Yeah.
And we haven't broken... Yes, we have. We haven't...
No, not since then.
No, not since then.
What I'm saying, though, is that this is a map of what was the record breaker at the time. All those options
were the
record breakers at the time.
Okay.
So it could be any of them, even if they no longer stand. 1990, UK's temperature record was
These maps look too modern to be 1990.
Okay.
Not that they look especially modern, but they...
Can rule that out then.
Okay, give me the options one more time.
1990, 2003, 2019, or 2022.
Okay.
And yeah, this is question 4. It's getting more tricky.
I'm going to go with 2019. See, is that?
Okay, lock it in.
That's actually a guess, though.
Most people at home went with 2022. But it's evenly split. 1/3 of people went with that. 1/3 of you went with 2003 heat wave, 31%. 2019 was 20%. So we'll see.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Was that the 40-degree heat?
And then a final weather chart starring you.
Right, what am I wearing?
I chose this
here?
because this is from your first ever deep dive.
Oh, is it?
So I don't know if the information that you communicated on your first ever deep dive has become imprinted on your mind, whether you relive that on a daily basis. The question is, what storm is that heading towards the UK? Was it Storm Agnes, Storm Babette, Storm Gerrit, or Storm Isha?
Okay.
And it's got the date there, Sunday the 21st of January 2024, 2 years ago. It's almost exactly 2 years ago.
It isn't Gerrit. It's not Isha.
Are you confident?
And Agnes. Let me... Sorry, I'm trying to look at the other screen there.
See if anyone is.
Babette, as we were talking, was an easterly, wasn't it? Agnes.
Martin Baines says Babette.
Scary. I don't remember Agnes. Maybe it's Babette, but it doesn't look quite easterly enough. The wind's in that.
Michael Halliday's gone with Babette. Don't want to sway you though.
What I want to go with Babette because I don't remember talking about Agnes. I remember talking about Babette. Gerrit I remember because there was a lot of chat about who's going to Gerrit, but I don't think that was in my deep dive. And Isha that isn't Isha because that was when we had 3 storms in a row or something like that when we had Isha. So, Babette. What number's that? What letter's that?
Babette was B, which is what 41% of people at home went with, but doesn't mean that's the right answer.
I actually think I might have got them all wrong, but...
Actually, you've done better than I expected.
I've got 1 right.
Whatever that means. No, you've done all right. You've done all right, actually.
Okay.
It's not embarrassing.
I don't care. I'm used to being embarrassed.
Okay, shall we have a look at the pictures again?
I want to know. All right.
Image 1. And that was the easy one, I thought. And what did you go with?
I went with Beast from the East.
Easy.
Yes,
Beast from the East.
I was
Proper
just doubting
easterly
myself.
winds.
Because loads of like convergence lines or everywhere.
That's where all the snow showers were.
Is that what it? Okay.
So this is from the 1st of March 2018, or it might be the last day of February 2018. Either way, it's the Beast from the East. Big high pressure over Scandinavia. Really cold. You can see how far south those low pressure systems are. Compare that with the setup we've got at start this week.
Yeah,
low pressure systems closer to the southwest of the UK, so everything's shifted south. Yeah, proper Beast from the East. Well done at home. Most of you got that right.
Sorry, I'm leaning forward staring at the photos again.
Question number 2. Name this weather event. It showed strong winds down the North Sea. Hopefully that was a giveaway for a lot of people. And that was, of course... What did you say?
I said the blizzard.
The blizzard would make sense if it's northerlies, but this was the East Coast floods of 1952. Big storm surge down the North Sea, a lot of flooding. Really, really nasty.
Because that was in the Netherlands as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Image number 3, which you did okay at, actually. Name this weather event. It had a low pressure in the Irish Sea. It was, of course, a fastnet storm. I think most people at home got that right as well. Now, this next image, this next question, it wasn't, I think it was the answer was the 3rd most popular at home, but you got it right. It was the 2019 heatwave when 38.7 Celsius was recorded in Cambridge. And you can see that cold front came in later on and brought a very swift end to that heatwave. It didn't last long.
I think I went on a balance of that. It didn't look like 40 degrees to me, and it looked new enough to be in the teens. Yeah. So that's why I went with 2019.
I think I've not checked, but I think the 2003 graphic would have had high pressure more dominant over the UK, and the 2022 chart wasn't a million miles from that. It had a similar setup with southerlies and
you often get the
cold
warm
front
weather coming in, and when you get if you get a sort of persistent low pressure just continually driving up that.
So well done. You've got 3 out of 4 so far.
Yeah. I have, yes. Okay, and the final one, what was it?
Final one.
Oh, how have I remembered my own work? Now,
you haven't, I'm afraid.
Oh,
and
no.
you talked yourself out of it. You said that it wasn't Isha because that happened in 3 storms in the 1 week. Well, that was the week.
Oh, was it?
And this was Storm Isha. And it was the least popular answer at home for number 4 after Babette, Agnes, Gerrit. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
this
devastated.
Was Storm Isha, which was actually one of the biggest storms since Storm Eunice. Oh, hang on. Where have I got?
What were the 3? So it was Isha and...
the 3 storms in 1 week was 2022. I beg your pardon.
And that wasn't Isha?
It wasn't. It was an I-E-F. Franklin was the 3rd one, was it?
And was that Eunice? That was Eunice. That was when we had the red warning in the southwest.
And Storm Isha was one of the most significant windstorms since Storm Eunice.
I've obviously not remembered that
70
one.
to 90 mile per hour wind gusts, falling trees, power cuts, etc. And what was really notable about it was the origin was a very powerful jet stream as a result of a really potent cold wave across North America.
I do remember that.
Because you covered that in the deep dive.
Yeah, I've covered that a few times.
Yeah. So,
but,
not far off what we're talking about today.
Okay, yeah, that's fair, and that was good. I like that. It was you really tested me there. 3 out of 5, not too bad. I actually was fearing for a 0 out of 5, so I'm happy with that. Where does that put? Oh, they both got 4. Well,
hey, I haven't had a chance yet.
You haven't. Well, we've got 4
right
asterisks, a 4, and then
why is that an asterisk?
There's claims that you cheated. Yeah, went back to a question.
Factored that in, haven't we, with Burkle? Anyway, well done at home. 4 out of 5. Robert Giles. This is Joe Boyd. 2 out of 5. Gary Redfern. 2 out of 5. Bob,
well done, everyone.
Bob Aggs, 4 out of 5. Lots of 4 out of 5s. People have done well. I thought it was quite tough this week, but no, you got 3 out of 5. Lots of people at home got reasonable scores.
Alex,
you know your weather charts.
Mr. Burkle has just written in saying he didn't cheat, so this is going to be an ongoing back and forth. I think we'll have every week, but
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Until he plays again. Are you doing it next week?
I don't even know.
No,
I don't know what my diary's like next week. We'll see.
Yeah, we will. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. We are aiming for 400,000. What are we on now?
We are fewer than 6,000 away. So people who are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, head over, hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. We could push it over today. Let's do it.
And then we'll be going for 500k, which would be even more exciting. So yeah, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. The more subscribers we get, the more we can do. Yes.
You know.
Yeah, and we love doing this stuff, don't
we? Just one last thing. There have been a lot of questions about sudden stratospheric warmings. A lot of people interested because there have been some signals of a sudden stratospheric warming taking place, but they are not clear signals at the moment, and it's not going to happen imminently. However, rather than explain what sudden stratospheric warming is all about and what causes it and what different types there are and the consequences of these different types, as a video expertly explained by Mr. Alex Burkle. That's going out on our YouTube channel tomorrow at 11. So that's an explainer of everything to do with sudden stratospheric warming, and you can find that on our YouTube channel at 11. If you subscribe, of course, you can get a little notification and remind you to watch it. You
could be the first to watch. Yeah, that will have loads of great information. We often try and explain it in here, but I think a video that you can concentrate on just yourself is a perfect tool to understand a bit about sudden stratospheric warming.
Yeah, but I think that's more than enough for us.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for helping me out on the quiz. Not that I cheated or anything, but for joining in with me. I hope you've enjoyed this show. And we'll be back again next week. Well, someone will be. Someone will be here. Might be me. We'll see. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.